thank you very much. Really appreciate it. You got a great turnout, and you gave up a beautiful day to be here. A lot of things you could be doing. For your family, your friends, for yourself, sitting in the sun, reading a book. But you gave it up to come here. So I really thank you. Thank you all, because you're interested in what this election in our country needs, and moving our country in the direction in which we need to move, and the changes that we need. And if we don't get those changes, we're not going to be where we need to be. And that's not what's happened in the past. So as Tanya said, I represent something a little bit different than your typical politician. If I win, I'm the only member of the U.S. Senate. One. It doesn't take PAC, special interest, lobbyist money. One. And if we think about why this country is so unjust, and we have the wealth gap, we have drugs that cost 3 times more here than they cost in Canada or France, yet they're made here in Jersey. And we have gun laws that are just outrageous. We don't stop guns that are killing machines. We allow that. And we have mental health insurance that the insurance companies say, oh, I can't cover that. We're not covering that, but the law says they got to treat it equal with physical insurance. But they don't follow it. So it's pharmaceuticals, it's oil companies, it's big business. You know what the biggest C corporations in this country pay in taxes now? Percentage? 12. Anybody here pay 12%? No. No one does. Because Trump lowered the tax rate, the marginal rate to 21%. It was 35. That means effectively it's 12. 12. 55 of the billion-dollar companies paid zero. Zero. We have got a tremendous amount of inequity in federal government. And it's everywhere. It's in tax rates, it's in education, it's in job opportunities, it's in housing, it's all across the board, and behind it all is special interest money. So that's, I think, as you think about who you want to vote for in this election, and I love to earn your vote, and you can count on me that I'm a worker. I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever, but I am always going to be probably the hardest worker, period. Because I learned how to work hard, that's how I win. And we always outwork the other guy. And also, I love ideas. I love change. So if you can bring us ideas and ideas to change, I like that a lot. Because that's how we get better as a country. We welcome ideas and we welcome change. So, my background, Prince George County, believe it or not. I was born in Cheverly, lived in Hyattsville, and Mom taught public school in Greenbelt. They got there because I went to the University of Maryland, both my mom and my dad. And my dad got there to the GI Bill. He's the first person in his family ever to go to college, ever. His father worked on a train, collected tolls on the train. And that GI Bill brought him a chance to have a bigger life. So that was our background. We moved to a farm, and you referenced it a minute ago, and I grew up just over the Pennsylvania border near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And again, we didn't have a lot. We had an outhouse when I was 11, 12 years old. We did not have indoor plumbing. It wasn't a gentleman's farm. It was a working farm, a hard working farm. We had 55,000 chickens that laid 13 tons of manure a day. It smelled bad. It smelled really bad. And we had 600 hogs. Think about that amount. Farming is hard work. Don't everybody tell you any different. It is hard, backbreaking, monotonous work. I spent thousands of hours on John Deere tractors, shoveling chicken manure, shoveling pigs and hogs and all the work we did. And I made $1.80 an hour for my dad. And I punched the time clock. Dad didn't pay nobody if you didn't punch that time clock. You weren't getting paid. So I understand what it means to put in a day, and at the end of the week you look and you say, I worked 80 hours, and it wasn't that big a deal. Sometimes we worked over 100 hours. You know what that meant? You'll do anything in your life but work and sleep. We ran our egg plant double shift 6 days a week. One shift Sunday. I was in charge. When you're in charge, you better be there to figure out what's not working. So you're there in the morning, 7, you're there at night, 11. Then you walk across the field, because the house is right there, and you go to sleep, and you do it again. And you do it again, and you never think about it. Because that's all you do. You don't really think about it. And my wife said, what, you crazy? She's like, you got me nuts. But that's the way we grew up that way, and it was okay. I loved it. I loved being on the farm. But unfortunately, my dad was an abusive alcoholic. At 25, when I was 25, my mom left, packed up. My sister went to Cambridge. She left. I stayed there with my brother, and we stayed there till 3 more years, trying to make the farm work, and we failed. We could not get my dad to make good decisions. The banks came in, they took the farm, took our home, took our job, and I had to man up and start over as the oldest of 5, support my mom and the younger kids. And I went out and became an egg broker. Anybody know what that? Everybody know about egg brokering? No. All it means is you've got one size eggs and you might be in Mississippi and you want those eggs and you're located in Maryland. Then I put you together and then I pick up 2 cents a dozen. And then we do that again and again. So it's moving eggs from A to B around the eastern seaboard, knowing the market, who wants what. So I knew the business inside out. So that meant to be a broker, you need one thing, a telephone. He didn't have an iPhone. I had a payphone card. So I worked out of a payphone. And my company was big. It was me, one person. And we made a good living for 2.5 years. At the same time, I went to grad school, applied for student loans. I've always loved academics. Undergraduate, I studied English and history. I love academics. And I've always been really good in academics. So I finished, the top of my class, because I love academics and reading. I love to read. So I got into Wharton School of Business, studied there, brokered eggs. I was in the hallway between school, and I said, what the heck? I opened up a small beer store, selling beer and soda. And the store was probably not as big as this room. It's a big room. Smaller than this room, $3 a foot rent. That means it's a dirty store. Wasn't it really nice? It wasn't a beautiful store. It was a tough part of town. And I had one good idea, sell things cheap. I've always been the Walmart or the Costco of the alcohol business. That's what I've always been. So I sold things cheap. My competitors sold them expensive. I made money on volume, and I won. And that store in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I would commute from Philly every Thursday night to Harrisburg. My mom worked in the store. My little brother worked in the store. I'd come back on Thursdays, work till Sunday, go back to Wharton, broker eggs the whole time, and finish my MBA. So I was busy, but I loved to work. In my second year at Wharton, the chickens all got the avian flu in Mid-Atlantic and died. So overnight, I was out of business. So the reason that is sometimes you got something that works and nothing good happens, and something bad really happens, no fault of your own. So literally, we were out of business overnight, 0. Went from making a living to 0. Same thing happened on the farm. I've struggled, and that helped me build who I am. That builds toughness. It builds it builds character, really. You build some character when you struggle. And so that farm we went on, and it went goodbye. But at the same time, I took that MBA and built out a store in Harrisburg, then built a second store a year later, third store another year later, and another year later another store, and slowly built by bootstrapping up from Zippo, using money from Coke and Pepsi, who gave me credit. So I got credit from them, and I used that money to buy the beer. And that worked. I mean, I don't know why they gave me credit, but they did. So that's how we started a bootstrap. I mean, in our store, I built the counters, I built the beer cooler, we painted the sign on the wall. It was a bootstrap. But now that store is Total Wine and More, and we've been successful. Who shopped Total Wine here? Anybody? That's a pretty good group. Thank you. You guys just paid for the campaign. No question, man. They paid for it. But no, seriously, we have a store in Laurel. It's the 5th store we built. Number 5. My brother owns that store. My little brother. We have one in Towson. It's the 4th store I built. I own that store. But now we have 270 stores.